Have you ever wondered what really lies behind the thick walls of one of the most secret places on Earth? There's a place full of locked doors, forbidden archives, and ancient documents that the public should never have access to. Whispers of time machines, lost relics, and messages from centuries past echo through its halls. In this video, we'll uncover the chilling mysteries and untold secrets they never wanted you to know. What's real? What's legend? One thing's for sure. Once you hear these stories, you'll never forget them. The Vatican, home of the Roman Catholic Church and the papal authority, stands as a symbol of spiritual influence and cultural depth. Yet, beyond its grand walls and majestic facades, lies a layer of mystery that has intrigued people for centuries. Among the most puzzling aspects are the contents of the Vatican's restricted archives, documents dating back hundreds of years, filled with correspondence, historical records, and confidential reports that have remained hidden from public view for generations. Although access to these archives is extremely limited, curiosity continues to swirl around what they might reveal. Some believe they hold insights into key turning points in history, while others suggest they document ancient internal conflicts and doctrinal disagreements long buried. The secrecy that surrounds these materials only fuels more speculation and theories, adding to the mystique that keeps global attention fixed on the Vatican as a place where hidden knowledge quietly rests. One such episode that still raises questions involves the events of 1307, when the Knights Templar were arrested and subjected to brutal interrogations under accusations of heresy and moral corruption. This remains one of the most debated incidents of the medieval period. King Philip IV of France led the charge, ordering the torture and dismantling of the order's leadership. The complete records of their trials were locked away in the Vatican's classified archives, and only recently were portions of them published in a very limited release. 800 leather-bound copies, quickly snatched up by collectors, libraries, and high-profile individuals. The speed and exclusivity of the distribution has raised suspicions, especially considering the long period these documents were kept out of public reach. Scholars generally agree that by the early 14th century, the Knights Templar had amassed enormous wealth and political influence. This made them targets. Allegations of corruption were likely used as a pretext to dismantle the group and allow the king to erase his debts by seizing their assets. The truth behind the accusations and the political motivations continues to draw interest today. Another unusual case linked to the Vatican involves the hidden plans for what may have been the world's first flying machine. These early concepts are believed to have come from Bartolomeu Lourenço de Gouges, a Brazilian inventor of the 18th century. In 1709, he demonstrated a small hot air balloon before the Portuguese king, using paper and fire to lift it. His larger vision, a bird-like craft called the Fatima, was designed to soar through the skies using heat and an intricate system of tubes. But Gusmio's ambition came at a dangerous time. His experiments and ideas were viewed with suspicion, and whispers of sorcery followed him. Fearing persecution from the Inquisition, he destroyed many of his designs and fled in disguise. He died in 1724, his full project never realized. Still, it is believed that fragments of his original work survived and are now stored in the depths of the Vatican. Strangely, the design he pioneered bore a strong resemblance to the hot air balloons that eventually took flight decades later. In 1783, the Three Secrets are a series of apocalyptic visions believed to have been shared with three Portuguese shepherd children, Lucia Santos, Jacinta Martu, and Francisco Martu, 1917. According to their accounts, they experienced multiple visits from a celestial figure identified as the Virgin Mary, later venerated under the name Our Lady of. It's said that during these encounters, the children were entrusted with three distinct revelations, which for years remained under. It wasn't until 1941, under the request of the Bishop of Leiria, that the first two were made known. The third, however, carried more secrecy. Written down by Santos in 1943 and sealed in an envelope, it was intended to be opened only in 1960. In a surprising move, it wasn't released until the year 2000, when Pope John Paul II made it public. Until then, the original writings, said to be in own hand, were kept under tight security in the Vatican. Even after the Vatican's official statement, some have argued that not all was revealed, suggesting there may be more within S-notes that remains hidden. The contents of the three messages are unsettling. The first allegedly includes a vivid depiction of a fiery underworld. The second, a warning about the end of World War I and the onset of a more devastating conflict. The third, cloaked in the most mystery, is described as a vision of the persecution faced by Christians in the 20th century. Despite the official disclosure, controversy still lingers over what was truly written and what might still be kept away from the public eye. For years, a bizarre rumor has circulated claiming that the Vatican houses the largest collection of adult material in the world. This idea supposedly traces back to the Renaissance, when whispers emerged about suggestive artwork and forbidden relics stored away behind closed doors. In modern times, the theory evolved to include hidden rooms filled with explicit art, photographs, and related materials, all hidden from view. But such stories don't hold up to scrutiny. Experts and scholars have firmly dismissed these claims, labeling them as completely unfounded. While some of the artwork in the Vatican museums depict scenes that could be considered by today's standards, they are preserved for their historical and artistic value. The Vatican Library holds over 1.5 million academic works and more than 150,000 rare manuscripts, none of which suggest anything close to what these rumors describe. Even Leonard Boyle, a former chief librarian of the Vatican, firmly denied ever seeing any such materials upon his retirement in 1998. The origins of these claims remain murky, and their persistence seems to stem more from imagination than evidence. Another lesser-known mystery held within the Vatican's archives involves a rare Chinese scroll dating back to 1650. This delicate document, made of silk, is unusual not just for its content but for its origin, Asia being notably underrepresented in the Vatican's vast collections. It was authored by Empress Dowager Wang, who later took the name Helena after converting to Catholicism through Jesuit missionaries, one of the rare women to rule China. She also became one of the few Catholic monarchs in the nation's history. The scroll was sent to Pope Innocent X, enclosed in a bamboo tube decorated with the image of a black dragon. In it, the Empress detailed her escape from the unforgiving Qing dynasty and her plea for support from the Pope. Unfortunately, the Pope passed away before any response could be issued. The existence of this message invites speculation about what kind of relationship could have formed between the Vatican and China, and how such an alliance might have reshaped the world as we know it. Galileo is still considered one of the foundational figures of modern science. However, more than 350 years ago, he was put on trial by the Roman Catholic Church, which at the time saw him as something of a dark sorcerer defying divine truth. Galileo boldly declared that the earth was round and in motion, and not the center of the universe. He also noted that it revolved around the sun, a radical idea that conflicted with traditional interpretations of Scripture. This led to his investigation for heresy by Pope Urban VIII in 1633. Under threat of torture, Galileo was forced to publicly recant his views. The incident marked a major setback for scientific progress and intellectual freedom. For centuries, the records of his trial remained hidden behind closed doors in the Vatican. Only recently has the Church begun to release documents related to his conviction, acknowledging nearly 4 centuries later that it had erred in labeling him a dangerous figure. The decision to make these documents public appears to be part of a larger effort toward transparency. Yet the question inevitably arises, what else might be buried in the Vatican archives? As strange as it may seem, there is a story that claims the Vatican is hiding a time machine allegedly called the According to some accounts, a priest named Father Pellegrino Anetti was involved in building the device, which was supposedly used to witness important historical events, including the crucifixion of Jesus. No credible evidence has ever emerged to support the existence of such a machine. The idea is that the chronovisor could allow someone to observe moments in the past, like watching a live broadcast on a screen. Although it was mentioned by Father Francois Brune in 2002, the claims have never been proven. The story goes that the machine was built in the 1960s with the help of a handful of scientists, including former German engineer Werner von Braun. But mainstream science has dismissed the entire notion as fiction. The testimonies of former Vatican officials have also been heavily criticized and discredited. Whether time travel will one day be possible or whether it is just speculative fiction remains an open debate. Inside the Vatican, there is also one of the most unusual relics associated with Catholic devotion. A small vial of dried blood said to belong to Saint Januarius, the patron saint of Naples. During a papal visit to Naples Cathedral in 2015, Pope Francis kissed the vial. To the amazement of those present, the dried blood partially licked. For many faithful, this was seen as a divine gesture, a moment in which the saint expressed affection for the Pope. The event was witnessed by thousands of people. Pope Francis even commented on the partial liquefaction, suggesting half-jokingly that it meant the saint loved him, but not completely, and that everyone still had work to do. Regardless of one's beliefs, the incident left a strong impression on the Catholic faithful. The vial is considered one of the city's most sacred treasures, with local tradition claiming that the saint's prayers spared Naples from a catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in the 4th century. While there is no scientific evidence to prove any supernatural attributes to the relic, its spiritual importance within Catholic tradition is deeply rooted. The relationship between the Vatican and the Nazis during World War II remains one of the most controversial chapters in modern history. Under the leadership of Pope Pius XII, the Catholic Church remained largely silent as millions of Jews were murdered during the Holocaust, a silence that many historians and critics view as a shameful moral failure. Some have speculated that the Pope refrained from condemning Nazi Germany out of fear of potential consequences, imagining that if Hitler won the war, he might attempt to influence the election of the next Pope. These claims even went as far as to suggest that Pope Pius XII was a secret ally of Hitler. All records related to the Vatican's role during the war were locked away in the Vatican's secret archives for decades. In an effort to restore the Pope's reputation, the Vatican recently began releasing select documents to historians for analysis. However, rather than clearing the Church's name, these revelations damaged it further. According to Smithsonian Magazine, the newly revealed documents confirm that the Pope had knowledge of the mass extermination of Jews as early as the fall of 1942. Shockingly, Church advisors dismissed these reports, calling them exaggerated. Church representatives also misled the United States government by claiming they could not verify whether the Nazis were truly behind the atrocities. These disclosures have cast a long shadow over the Vatican's moral stand during one of humanity's darkest hours. Despite being the smallest country in the world with a population of around 1,000 people and an area of just 110 acres, the Vatican holds more secrets than many would imagine. One of these secrets is actually hidden in plain sight. The Passetto di, a concealed escape tunnel built for the Pope's use during times of extreme danger. The tunnel runs approximately 800 meters along the old city walls, connecting the Apostolic Palace within Vatican City to the imposing constructed in the late 15th century. The Passetto was first used only a few years after its completion, when Pope Alexander VI fled through it to escape an invasion by King Charles VIII of France. The tunnel saw use again during the infamous sack of Rome on May 6, 1527, when most of the Swiss Guard were killed on the steps of St. Peter's Basilica. Their courageous defense bought enough time for Pope Clement VII to escape through the secret passage. While only this one tunnel is known to the public, it sparks a tantalizing question. How many other hidden pathways might lie beneath the Vatican, and where could they lead? As we've uncovered, the Vatican is far more than just the smallest country in the world. It's a labyrinth of faith, power, and deep-rooted secrets that span centuries. Whether it's the silent corridors of its underground tunnels, the dusty scrolls locked away in its secret archives, or the cryptic events it has witnessed, the Holy See continues to fuel imagination, investigation, and debate. While some of these secrets have slowly come to light over time, others remain shrouded in mystery, perhaps never meant to be fully understood. What's certain is that the Vatican's influence reaches far beyond religion. It intersects with science, politics, war, and legend, holding a mirror up to humanity's thirst for truth and meaning. And as long as people continue to search for answers, the Vatican will remain a source of fascination, both sacred and secret. If you enjoy unraveling ancient mysteries and uncovering hidden truths, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue digging deeper into the stories the world was never meant to know. See you in the next video.